Hey there, welcome. My name is Lou Diamond. At this establishment, and in my book, Speak Easy, I've put together the tips, tricks, techniques, blends, mixtures, and concoctions that you need to make more of your conversations great. Whether you're a professional looking to grow your business, a leader looking to connect to your people, or an individual looking to grow your own personal connections, the lessons you'll learn in Speak Easy will help you connect, engage, and win in all of your conversations. Head on over to speakeasybook.com and order yourself a print, digital, or audio copy. Speak Easy. Connect with every conversation. Cheers.
You look down, they know you're lying. And up, they know you don't know the truth. Don't use 7 words when 4 will do. Don't shift your weight. Look always at your mark, but don't stare. Be specific, but not memorable. Be funny, but don't make him laugh. He's got to like you, then forget you the moment you've left his side. And for God's sakes, whatever you do, don't, under any circumstances, listen to Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speak Easy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond, and today on Thrive Loud, I'm real excited because we have a man who has helped millions of people change their words to change their world. He is the best-selling author of numerous publications, but most notably, this incredible book called Exactly What to Say. He's an outstanding thought leader, Hall of Fame professional speaker, and one of the most innovative and brilliant entrepreneurs you will ever come across. He loves his wonderful wife. He loves his gorgeous children. He loves a good bourbon. And he understands exactly how to connect with every conversation. Thrive Loud listeners, here to join me in a spectacular mashup episode, my very good friend, Phil M. Jones. Phil,
hey, Lou. Hey, great to be here. Thank you for having me on the show. Always good to be able to connect.
This is not the first time he's been here. Loyal Thrive Loud listeners, they can go back to the archives and they could listen to some incredible ones, even one where we did a special one on a poem that he wrote to himself to inspire himself called If, which is pretty awesome. I am honored to have him here today. For those who've been following this series, this is the last of the series for 2 reasons. One, this is a real apropos conversation and a mashup of 2 really good ideas of our books, Exactly What to Say and Speak Easy. And second, if you have a copy, but by now you've probably pre-ordered one, if you look really, really carefully up close, you'll notice that there's an incredible testimonial at the top of the book from this guy named Phil M. Jones. First of all, Phil, you've been really busy of late. What I want to do is catch up on all the things that are going on in Phil's world right now, because it's going to be awesome. This is almost like the plug section of what's going on, and that's where I want to start. Sound like a fair way to kick things off?
Yeah, we can go there.
Yeah.
What do you want to know first?
Well, I want to know right now what's on your plate, because this summer, we're recording this at the very beginning of September. This episode's coming out on September 22nd, which happens to be my birthday, by the way.
Okay.
So there's a birthday episode. I figured why not hang out with Phil. I want to know what you've been doing most recently, and let's update our people on the whole platform of Phil M. Jones.
Well, I mean, we have so much going on right now. I mean, the obvious is that speaking events are back up and running in a big way. So managing a busy travel schedule, managing a busy virtual schedule, 2 giant renovation projects, one here in New York City, the other one back across the pond in the UK, where we are up-leveling our own life, both in terms of home and personal and lifestyle, etc., both sides of the Atlantic. So we're almost done on those. Just got moved back into New York a few days ago, which is huge. What else we've been up to is this year we launched certified guides. So we now have 33 individuals that are certified, qualified, trained to be teaching the materials of exactly what to say around the world, and bringing the core lessons and principles from that little book into all sorts of really interesting areas, whether it's childcare and parenting, whether it's diversity, equity, and inclusion, whether it's legal services, whether it's photographers, whether it's real estate. Like, it's going into all these new areas, which is ridiculously cool. What else has been going on this year? We launched the commemorative luxury hardcover edition of Exactly What to Say. So it came out 6-8 weeks ago. That is the sexiest book that has ever been created. It has got gold leaf in it. I mean, even if you take the cover off it, Lou, it's like better naked. Like some people are better naked, right? And this book is very better naked.
Not me today.
And we got 2 other books that come out. I mean, one is today while we're actually in this interview. So a book called The Work Before the Work that launched in the US as of right now, a collaborative project with a great dynamic sales leader by the name of Paul Caffrey. We wrote a book about helping elite sales performers get better prepared to win the edge versus competition. And another book that comes out next month, so October now, with a dear friend of both of ours, who both you and I have masterminded with on numerous occasions, Lou, a talented young lady by the name of Melanie Diesel, one of the most prolific young minds in content marketing. And Melanie and I have collaborated to produce a book called Prove It, which is exactly how modern marketers win trust, which I think is a really interesting, unique, new, practical and practical, tactical, with overarching strategy, meaningful take on how to be able to do content marketing today. Not just make noise, but purposeful noise with purpose to achieve outcomes. So that's just some of the stuff that's been going on in my world.
For those people who just got drowned by all this content, I'm going to take everybody back and rewind, because Phil and I have known each other for a while. We actually were at an offsite event, I think in 2017 in Dallas, Texas. And he was just at that time reshaping and relaunching and reproducing Exactly What to Say. It might have been 2016 at that point.
Yeah.
And I remembered at the time hearing, what a great idea. He's got this very unique tool that was initially guided to help people with sales. Would you have thought all the way back then that the messages that you had, which have helped you personally in your own career be a successful salesperson and were able to give these magical words to people, would you have thought that the breadth of what exactly what to say has had was in your mind at that point, or did you always know it, Phil?
Oh man, I mean, you got to leave room for the miracle, right? You've got to leave room for the miracle. And did I know that Exactly What to Say as a book was me taking what was really one of my most prolific EPs, i.e. a small mini book called Magic Words that had done remarkably well, and blowing that up to be its full form? Did I know that that was the right move for me to make to be able to accelerate my speaking career into North America? Heck yes. I felt with great confidence that it was the right move to be able to deepen some relevance into the speaker marketplace, and the book would be well received. Did I know that we would do 1.6 million copies and growing, translated into 29 different languages, multiple custom editions, have an army of certified guides, now be teaching core principles from that book into politics, into healthcare, into some of the most challenging negotiation rooms, into the world of military? Heck no. No, I did not have any awareness to the breadth of where this work would take me, nor the depth. So I think leaving room for that miracle has been a joy of a ride to be on. So if we take 2017 to now, this little book has taken me to parts of the world that I could only have imagined.
Yeah. I've not only read it once, I've probably read it several times, and I use it as a guide. I would also argue that the way you thought about marketing this book was incredibly instrumental on the way that I thought about marketing an idea that I was thinking about, but didn't know what it was at the time.
Right.
That's where Speak Easy was, and the ability to utilize a book as not just one piece of content that you read, but something you can refer to often. I also recognize something really important. There are incredible expressions in there that you can practice over and over again on what you need to say.
Correct.
To be able to deal with this. I shared with you Speak Easy early on, which has a lot to do with the way you need to be, even before you enter the conversation.
Yeah.
Phil M. Jones, talk a little bit about when you got a chance to capture a little bit of Speak Easy. what you were thinking about with it. And then I have some questions about some of the things that you do before you have a conversation with someone.
Well, we have an overarching principle of all things in the work that we do around exactly what to say, that the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment when you're saying it, right? That's something we believe to be true. So what I love about Speak Easy, and look at me, good student, actually have my copy here with me, is what I love about it is that it teaches you how to think before you show up to conversations. It teaches you how to have more of a strategic, fair advantage about entering into those conversations. It teaches you how to be able to leave the table by getting more from being at that table. It's a strategic thinking book, but in bite-sized chunks about how you can show up to those conversations more effectively. So when you stick this level of thinking with this level of application, then guess what happens is that my immediate thought was, dang, we can do a lot more with adding this thinking and doing stuff together. So that was my first thought. Does that answer your question, Lou?
Yeah, no, absolutely. In fact, that's one of the things I'll spin this now specifically is, yes, you've stated many times that the worst time to think about the thing you need to say is in the moment you're about to say it. So what I would love for you to share with the listeners is I have heard you speak several times, many times on stage in front of audiences, heck, in an off-Broadway theater, and with an energy that is quite passionate, with the knowledge of your content that is interactive. What I would love for you to share is what type of sound check or stage prep does Phil M. Jones do before he goes on stage? What does he do to help himself speak easy before he enters a speaking opportunity?
Oh, what a great question. And the answer is a lot. Let's unpack that answer a little. Is the work before the work all starts with the pre-event planning call, because my speech doesn't matter. My speech to serve the moment, to be able to serve the individuals in that room is what matters. So I look to be able to do as much research ahead of time to understand the reality of the people to the other side of the audience. That can include things like interviewing core stakeholders. That can include things like reviewing past presentations. And it often includes things like being in the room to observe the room ahead of any of my sessions that I'm looking to be able to bring. So I leave a level of agility and flexibility to be able to make live edits right up to the moment before I enter the stage. So there's that sort of prep work. Yeah. What there then is I've been in this business since 2008. Prior to that, I was doing work like this, but inside of some corporations. And over that period of time, you build quite a body of work, right? What I have in my body of work is I have journals upon journals upon journals of bits. And, they might be contextual openings. They might be conjunctives from how I get from that point to that point. It might be that's the point I want to make, but I've got 17 different stories as to how I could go ahead and be able to make that point. So what I have is a giant pantry of ingredients of bits. And I'll mind map what I believe that I'm going to take from my pantry of ingredients to serve the moment, to work around the constraints that are presented by the room, the audience, where I sit within the agenda, what the layout of the tables are like, etc. So I work through all of those kind of pieces. Once I've got clear on that, that becomes a mind map. That mind map is something that I think and craft once, and then I might redraw the same mind map 3, 4, 5 times to check that I've got it with confidence in my own muscle memory. Then with said mind map is I'll ideally do a AV check that has nothing to do with AV, that has everything to do with how am I going to use the room as a prop. So where am I going to make which points on the stage? I do a lot where I'll leave the stage and enter some interaction into the audience, which is a great thing to do, providing you plan how to get back on the stage. Right?
Have you ever been trapped? Couldn't figure out how to get back?
Well, is sometimes you and you learn this through experience, right? Is that you deliver a point and you're 30 yards from the stage stairs and you want to deliver the next point from the stage. And that's a 65-second walk. So unless you've got a walk and talk story, you got to figure that out in terms of being able to keep the flow of the performance in space. It's all well and good saying I'm going to come off and create a period of interaction. But if you're then making a point for the whole room and you're in the wrong location, you got to figure that stuff out too. So those are some of the things that go into my prep of making sure we're ready to deliver a keynote.
Okay. So that's what the prep that you need to do to be tactical and what you need to do. And I've seen you do it. And I'm going to now give a specific situation. there's this moment right before you're about to enter a stage, or
Yep.
whether you're going to enter a conversation. And I argue that they're actually kind of similar, the kind of prep that you do beforehand. You just had an opportunity this past summer to open for one of the best in the professional speaking stage. You got a chance to speak in Dallas, Texas, in front of some guy named Tony Robbins at an incredible event. I'm sure you were a little nervous because it was a big venue.
I'm nervous for every event.
So what goes on between the ears? What's your go-to? Okay, what are you telling yourself? What is the conversation you're having with Phil M. Jones right before you're stepping on the stage?
There's a few things. If you go 45 minutes to 60 minutes out from go time, the speech that's happening between my ears is, I understand the people, I understand the challenges, I understand their obstacles, I'm there for them, right? It isn't a 1 hour speech to a 5,000 person audience. It's 5,000 hours of real people's time, effort, energy, and life that they're committing towards happening to be in the same space as you. So I take that responsibility really seriously and make sure I have a message for everybody in the room. So that's my kind of checks and balances, almost the logical side of self-talk ahead of it is I've considered everybody. I've considered my game plan. I know my game plan. I've got my game plan down. Okay. Like I'm ready. Then the conversation that happens between the years prior to that, like on the 30 minutes and countdown, is just positive affirmations and self-talk. Like, you've been there before, you know what you're doing, you'll be just fine. You know your content, you understand your content, you're ready for anything. What could go wrong, it already has gone wrong, and you're ready to be able to, adjust towards it. And then into the final moments prior to that, if I'm talking about like the 90 seconds to 120 seconds, the self-talk is have fun, enjoy yourself, you don't get this moment back. Have fun, enjoy yourself, you don't get this moment back. Have fun, enjoy yourself, you don't get this moment back. You're in service of them. Go show them how big your heart is. Right. So that's almost the work before the work, and then the 60 minutes of self-talk that come prior to a speech.
Now I want to bridge this together. This is a speech we're talking about in front of, many people, and not everybody gets a chance to do this. But what our listeners are looking to do is have better conversations with whether they're business targets, their friends, their family members, their whatnot. Have you ever thought about, do you do any prep before? Do you deploy some of the Speak Easy things before you have a conversation just one-on-one?
Heck yes. I believe that the biggest contributing factor towards success in conversation is remembering that the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment when you're saying it. Yeah. We unpack it in the premium edition of Exactly What to Say as to what the 4 cornerstones of conversational excellence are, and we dive deeper into that area of the worst time to think about the thing you're going to say is in the moment you're saying it. And there are so many conversations that are predictable. But what we can all decide upon is, what are our critical conversations? What are the conversations that matter in our life that are more important to any others? I give you one example, Lou, that rings loud and proud to me, that I'm continually giving awareness to right now. And that's the conversation of me re-entering the home from being away on a business trip. Is, what do I say to my wife and children in the first 30 to 90 seconds of me re-entering the home following a trip? Because the success or failure of that conversation can significantly impact the rest of my night, the rest of my weekend, the rest of my life, right? Is getting that conversation more right or more wrong has consequences. So that would be a high payoff critical conversation in my personal life. What are high payoff conversations one-on-one I'm getting prepared for all the time in my work life? Well, I've got 2 win the business calls later on this afternoon with clients that are considering booking me for a speaking gig. Now, I know that if they're considering booking me, I'm either in a 1-horse race, a 2-horse race, or a 3-horse race. So I'm going to assume that I'm in a 3-horse race, and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to be able to make sure that I win that conversation, leaving myself in a marketplace of 1. How do I do that? I do prep about the people ahead of time. I start the meeting before the meeting by connecting out and reaching out to them on LinkedIn and asking some questions of them. I'm armed with some intelligent questions to say how I will serve the event that are differently towards others. All that prep work ahead of time that is quite well articulated even through Speak Easy is it's just table stakes to me. It's not anything wow. That's just what we do.
Yep. By the way, I love the the conversation before you walk into the home. I'll let you know that sometimes that conversation I have with my wife is when it's about to ring and I know that I've done something wrong or I haven't done something yet. That's usually the big thing is how I'm going to clarify that right now.
Haven't done something yet. That's really important.
Haven't done something yet that I know I'm supposed to do. One last point here to bridge these two together. I love asking authors the gift that they give to the reader that when they've created a book. And then I spin it back and I will ask the question, what is the gift that it has given you? I would love to know, at least most recently, the exactly what to say and specifically the gift of this platform. I would utilize it in that term because it's bigger than that. It is such a platform. The gift that it gives you every day when you wake up, as you look behind you, for those who could see it behind him, he's got shelves of every language of the book is in. The book is one of the most listened to audiobooks of all time. It is one of the more important pieces, and you get to listen to Phil, by the way. Go listen to it. I would love to know the gift that you get from it, because sometimes we don't look at ourselves because we're so focused on everybody else.
I mean, the gifts that I've had from this book are plentiful. There's obvious ones in that, I know my IP, so I own my IP. So, I have passive revenue off the back of this book that is the equivalent of many people's very decent full-time wage. So that is a gift that keeps on giving, is the fact that this has hyper relevance and its growth trajectory is flat, which is a wonderful gift, is to see something that perhaps has perennial staying power as opposed to had a huge peak and then a trough. But I think the bigger gifts of this are seeing the work in practice. Every single day, a stranger from somewhere is teaching something, applying something, delivering something from exactly what to say. And I know that there's at least one stranger from somewhere doing it because they write to me and tell me. So I have, whether it's an Instagram DM, whether it's a LinkedIn message, whether it's an email, whether it's a handwritten note, is people telling me that this work is working in their world and it is changing their worlds and it is making a difference. Yeah. And I think that, getting an interruption from a stranger every day saying that your work helps and your work matters, and then seeing other strangers and now friends like my certified guides making a dent in the world by teaching something that was once just an idea of mine. Whew, that stuff is, make your heart sing, light you up inside stuff.
I'm going to give a shout out to one of his guides, and I'm going to share a story here that he doesn't know about because I just learned about it this weekend. Jessica Woodbeck, who's been a guest on Thrive Loud, who's also been one of the original Exactly What to Say guides, has a realty business in Michigan. And I have a lot of friends in that particular area, even have some family members there. And someone reached out and called me up afterwards because someone who works for her utilized something that Phil does in a way something was asked, and the way that they presented a certain question, and the way that a question was asked in a initial conversation meeting that realtor. And afterwards they came back, I go, I'm pretty sure someone's drinking the Kool-Aid that your friend Phil has. And I said, well, I know where it's coming from and we could find the feed. So here's another gift for you. And a shout out to Jessica there. People are following, they're following the script and they're also utilizing it every day.
And making it their own.
Exactly.
And making it real. And, it just becomes natural.
Yeah. One of the things that people have told me my entire life is that I have an easy way about myself. And that's actually where Speak Easy actually led into the title. We had to make it in there. And I wanted to share this easiness with people. And that's what this was all about.
Lou Diamond, Mr. Easy.
Mr. Easy. Well, at least don't tell everybody that. But there is something very, very interesting because I was looking through all of Phil's work and not just Exactly What to Say, even the more advanced series. Everybody will put all the links for all of this in the show notes in the plug section of this episode. So don't you worry. But I had given my nephew one of Phil's children's books. Can we briefly talk about that for listeners that don't know how to explain the premise of that, and then I'll finish my point thereafter.
Yeah. Through the pandemic, and let me see if I can. Through the pandemic, I decided that I wanted to translate the core messages and principles of Exactly What to Say into a book for sort of 3 to 9-year-old kids. And we built this beautiful, stunning, and I wrote a short story that takes core principles in it. The illustrator did the bulk of the work here in making a stunning book that raises the level of intentionality about the power of words to young people. And it's been joyful being invited into schools to be able to read it. It's been joyful to be able to see people in child education and parents using just pages of the prose to be able to help children have a more acute understanding as to just how much a sequence of words can lift somebody up or drag them down, and how much growth or sabotage can be created from the words that leave our mouth. So that's what this book was created for. And, I won the day that I got my first copy and could read it to my children. Yeah. It's not necessarily the big gangbuster success to be able to carry the world, but it's a very proud piece of my my infrastructure.
And that's where I was going to go with, where I got a chance to know about the tactics of what you do and exactly what to say. Knowing you as a friend and someone that I look to as a mentor in many of the work, and specifically in the publication world here, I got to see a little bit of Phil in there and the importance of these words and messages. So one, we will also put a link for this as well, because it's a wonderful children's gift. I got a chance to give it to my nephew earlier this year when Phil released it. And it is, you get a feeling for what kind of a person you are. And I think that's a gift that you've given. And I don't think it comes out in your other work, because your work is very tactical for this piece, but that was where you got to maybe get a little piece of your soul. Do you think that?
Little heart in that one.
Little heart in there. Exactly. Before we wrap here, anything else that we haven't plugged or that's coming down the pike in the next year that we want to promote for Phil? Because we did the plug in the beginning, but anything else coming up down the pike?
We just got more of the same, right? I'm dedicating my future to help people have more meaningful conversations in all the moments that matter. Is just like, Psy, who produced Gangnam Style, is not necessarily leaning into a new album, and Rick Astley is not working with new material, is finding new angles for the existing. I'm excited about exactly what to say, and then the think about it being taken to more high stakes environments, and whether those are high stakes environments in our families and in those relationships which are the ones that matter most, or whether it's on like a national or a political level. That's where my focus is changing, is to say, actually, how do we communicate better in this very broken society that we're all being asked to operate in right now, and what can be done to mediate some understandings that says where people don't necessarily all agree, we can agree to make progress.
Phil M. Jones, mic drop moment here on Thrive Loud. Thank you so much again for coming on the program. Thank you for giving the gift of exactly what to say to everybody in the world. Everybody check out all the different copies we have here. And again, thank you for being such a key mentor and thought leader as it related to pairing together what we've put together in Speak Easy here. And
this is a great book, brother, as well. And I think I wrote it on the cover, right? It delivers both the ingredients and the method to empower anybody to elevate their conversational competence. Yeah. Is if you care about how you show up in other conversations, then Speak Easy will help. Like, it doesn't have to be it changes 1,000 things about the way you're going to do things, but you take 3, 4, 5 things from that book and execute them to a decent standard, you will not only be a better communicator, but a better human too.
Phil M. Jones. Right now we're lifting our books. The next time I see you, my friend, we will raise a glass. And there we go. Got a little video moment there.
Book to book moment.
Book to book moment. And show the book in the wild. I learned that from Phil. And with that, my friend, thank you so much for coming on the program. Great to see you.
Love it, man. Thank you for having me.
You got it. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.